All right, so for the eggplant parmigiana, you're going to need to have sauce. I have it already cooking. That is the simple tomato sauce on my other video that shows how to make the simple tomato sauce. You're going to double it, okay? You're going to make twice as much because this one here, like you're going to be using 2 eggplant, and it really drinks up the sauce. So it's going to be 2 eggplant. There's going to be mozzarella. You're going to need some fresh herbs. I happen to have nice fresh basil and parsley somewhere, and garlic, of course. You're going to need eggs. You're going to need some grated Parmesan cheese, breadcrumbs. Now, if you want to keep it gluten-free, just use gluten-free, like you can dry up a loaf of gluten-free bread and grind it if you can't find it in the store. You're going to need some salt, some vegetable oil or canola oil, and assorted knives. Now with 2 nice big eggplant, you're going to get a lasagna pot like this. So that's a lot of parmigiana, considering that you just, you'll be able to get, well, I'm going to say 12 good portions out of this. And because it is very hearty, you don't need that much. So 12 good portions out of this 1 pan of lasagna. It's probably 30 by 50, or what would this be, 12 inches by 16, I'm guessing. I don't really work in inches that well. But anyway, it's enough. It's a big enough pot. And it freezes really well. And is also known as aubergine. And it is really very delicious. It's the base for many, many different things. Now, eggplant parmigiana, for those of you that are not aware, it is a gluten-free, can be gluten-free, meat-free lasagna. It is absolutely delicious and very satisfying. It's very hearty, so it can be served to, you know, a lot of people. You just need a little square because it's very, very hearty. So how to choose the eggplant? Now this is a very large one. It's sometimes you find them this big. This is really great for lasagna, for parmigiana, because you cut the slices this way, and so you get a nice big wide piece. When buying eggplant, you take a look at the stem. The stem has to be nice and green. If the stem is kind of brown, that means it's old. It's been picked for a while. And you might have the inside that's a little bit brown too. So make sure you get a nice green stem. That's the important part, and that the eggplant is nice and firm to the touch as well, not mushy. Okay, so you're going to just, the first thing you're going to do is prep the eggplant for the parmigiana. So you're going to cut off the stem. So you're just cutting off, not a whole lot. You're going to cut off about that much. That's exactly what I want to see. Nice white inside. That's the mark of a fresh eggplant. Then you're going to take and you're going to cut it down. So you're going to cut down the middle. Just like that. Beautiful. Nice white eggplant. So we're going to cut the eggplant into slices. Now, because it's a nice big eggplant, I've chosen to have a nice big slicing knife, as opposed to this one that I was using. It's a little bit too short, and it'll make the slices too thick. You can do it like this, and just slice. If you have a meat slicer, you can use it, assuming that the eggplant isn't too big for the meat slicer. So and just put them in a bowl as you cut them. Now, not too thick. You should do them, they're about not quite a centimeter. Not quite a centimeter wide. If you can keep them even and not do this, that would be good. But you know what? It'll work. Okay, so there's 2 eggplant. It's a lot of eggplant. They were huge. So I've salted them. They're sliced. Now I'm going to just let them zhuzh for a little bit. So I'm putting a plate on top, and then I happen to have this 4-liter jug of oil. It could be whatever you have. It could be several cans, it could be a rock, it could be whatever you have. A gallon of wine, some of Papa Rocco's hooch. It goes really good with this. So we're going to let that just sit and zhuzh for about half an hour. Yeah, about half an hour, and then we're going to bread them. Now these are not going to be fried. They're going to be broiled in the oven with the breading. Yes, and it's so good. Anyway, see you right back. So it's been about half an hour, and now I'm going to show you what the eggplant looks like. You see there's a fair bit of moisture in there. Yep, there's a fair bit of moisture in there. They could stand to be, you see how moist they are? They could stand to be a little bit longer, but I'm going to just get this going. So now we rinse off the eggplant, just under some cold running water. I'm just going to rinse off that excess salt. You see how pliable they are? So you're just going to rinse it off. You're going to squeeze some of it out as well. You don't want it to absorb a lot of water. And you're going to work quickly, because if it sits in the water, it'll absorb the water. So here we go. We're just going to do that. So now I'm getting ready my gremolata, which is the parsley, basil, and garlic combination. And this gets added on into the parmigiana as I layer it, because this becomes, it's layered like lasagna. So you just chop them very, very fine, just like that. So everything gets chopped up nice and fine, just like that, and then you put them all together and you continue to chop. You could also put them in a food processor if you like, or, you know, chop them up. As long as they're finely chopped, doesn't much matter how you chop them. I prefer my chopping knife. Then I'm going to get some onion, and just like half a small onion. I wrote down about a half a cup of finely chopped onion. This gives it a certain really good flavor. Not everybody knows about it, so it'll be our secret. So you just chop that up pretty fine as well. Like, this has to be done quite fine. And this way, as it bakes, the flavor just goes right into the eggplant. It tastes wonderful without being overpowering, and nobody knows what it is. Shh, don't tell anybody. Now we're ready to bread the eggplant. Now the other reason that you want to put the eggplant in the salt is that it actually becomes pliable, and you can work with it without breaking it. So now we're going to just put in 4 eggs into this bowl. You want a nice, I'm hoping 4 eggs will be enough. That's a lot of eggplant. And if not, we can always add more. So remember, all of these quantities, they are approximations at best, because it all depends on the size of the eggplant. If you want to make this much and the eggplant are smaller, you may need 3. If the eggplant are really huge ones, 2 will probably make you a couple of pots, a big one and a small one. So here's the eggs. We're going to beat them. So 2 eggs beaten. So what's going to happen is we're going to drop the eggplant in the egg mixture, and then I'm going to fix up the breadcrumbs and cheese mixture here. So as I said, if you want to be, or if you need to be gluten-free, just use gluten-free breadcrumbs. Now these I grind myself, just leftover bread that we have. I just put it in a cloth bag and let it dry. And then I grind them. There we go. Yeah, we'll need all of that. So that's about, I'm going to say 3 to 4 cups of breadcrumbs. And for all of these eggplant, it's going to be required. So then I'm going to add, let's just measure here. I'm going to add 1 cup of cheese. No. Yep, that's good. 1 cup of cheese. Now you have to reserve cheese to sprinkle into the parmigiana as you're layering it. So don't use all of it up. Okay. So I mix, because the cheese just gives it a really, really nice flavor. I mean, you don't actually have to add it if you don't want to, or if you don't have it. That's fine. Make sure you reserve it for the inside. Now we're going to add some salt. That's probably about a tablespoon. Just a little bit of black pepper. And I'm going to add just a pinch of garlic powder. Now I don't add fresh garlic to this because I just never have. So garlic powder, just a little pinch, or 3. Mix it all up. Now I'm going to add just like a handful into the egg mixture, just so that it'll stick to the eggplant and won't run right off, because egg has a tendency to do that. So I have my oven pans ready. I like to line them with tin foil just because it makes it clean up a lot easier. So I'm going to actually turn my oven on, and it's going to go on to broil, and I use like a medium-high setting. Not if you're lucky enough to have that, otherwise you'll have to just set it just on high and keep your eye on it. Okay, so this is what's going to happen now. Don't worry about the one. Let's bread. Okay, so I'm going to just brush the bottom of my pan with a bit of oil, just a light brushing. Okay, and I have 2 pans going, so that will expedite the work a little bit. Oops. So just a light brushing. Dip the eggplant in the egg, then in the breadcrumb, and then in the pot, just like that. So egg, breadcrumb, pat them down, in the pot. Now this will happen, that you're going to somehow run out of egg and run out of breadcrumbs. No big deal, just crack a couple more eggs. Now I've used up half the eggplant. I still have another half, and it was 4 eggs. I still have some there. So I'm going to crack 3 more eggs in here. And just beat them like that. There you go. And I'm going to get some breadcrumbs because that was all I had, so I had to buy some. And I'm going to add another, I'm going to say another cup and a half of breadcrumbs. You can add more salt if you like. Just a little bit more black pepper. To season everything again. And just a pinch more garlic powder. And then we're going to continue on with the breading. Okay, now that the eggplant have been breaded, they're ready to go in the oven. So I'm just going to take, I brush some oil at the bottom of the pan, and I'm just going to take and put some oil with my fingers at the top so they will go nice and brown. Now you could just broil them with no oil. That's fine. I prefer it because they get a much nicer color like this. Kind of picky that way. And the bottom part already has the oil, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, now they're going to go in the oven, and it doesn't take long. It takes just a few minutes to broil them. It's because it's a medium-high heat. There we go. So halfway through, we're going to turn them so they brown on both sides equally. Okay, back in the oven they go for another few minutes. There we go, they're done. That only took like a couple of minutes, about 5 minutes on each side, not even, not quite 5 minutes. It's too hot. So they're beautifully browned on each side. And these are going to go with the cooked ones. And then we're ready to put together our parmigiana. It's so worth the effort, especially when you have leftovers. Now we're ready to put the parmigiana together. So I have my sauce, mozzarella, cheese, gremolata and onion, and my eggplant. So let's start. First thing you're going to do is layer sauce at the bottom. It's the first layer of sauce. Now the sauce doesn't have to be too thick because it will thicken up as it cooks with the breadcrumbs. Then you're going to layer your eggplant in one direction. Now I used the less nice ones that were cut less nice at the bottom because that's fine, just being picky that way. So we're going to kind of invert them, put one side, one the other, just so that they're nice and even in the pot. And this is going to absorb, it's too big, it's going to absorb a lot of the sauce. And I want just a smaller one here, which is going to be delicious. Okay, so there's my eggplant. Now I'm going to add more sauce. Like I said, you need double the amount, double the quantity, or even a little bit more that I showed you in the previous video. So there's the sauce. Now I'm going to add the parmigiano, mozzarella, and I'm going to add a little pinch of this, just to give a little je ne sais quoi, and a little bit of this onion. It is, smells so good. Now I'm going to layer in the opposite direction. So this layer here was like that. This layer is going to go like this. So that way it stays together when you cut it. Okay, let's do this. So you kind of have to pick and choose to make them nice and even. And I'm going to put some like this, and yeah, I'm going to actually put some like this. That'll work too. And if there's a small one, just put one right here. There. They're nice, big, chunky, juicy eggplant. Nice big slices. So you could do mozzarella first, parmigiana first, whatever. Whichever one, it's all going to get all together in the pot. And you just continue this until you're finished all the eggplant. As you can see, I had just enough for this pot. I had a couple of extra eggplants, so I didn't want to throw them out, so I'm just going to mix them all in like this. All that sauce is used up. I'm going to actually add a little bit of water to wash out the bottom of that pot, because it's a bit thick. You don't want to have it too thick. You don't want to water it down too much, but a little bit of water, so just to wash out that extra sauce there, and then just put it along the sides. It will get absorbed right into the parmigiana. Waste not, want not. So that's excellent. I can go ahead and add these, or I can keep them for sauce. I'm going to go ahead and add them because they are always so good. That way we finish them all up and there's no leftover. That's what I like to hear. Oh man, does this ever smell good. Now I'm going to add some cheese. Mozzarella, I'm going to add more mozzarella, but not till it's about halfway cooked, because I don't want it to go too brown at the top. Doesn't this look delicious? Now it gets covered and put in a 350 oven till it bubbles. It'll probably be a half an hour, 40 minutes. If your sauce is really hot, then it'll be less, but half an hour minimum, I would say. So that gets covered, put in the oven until it bubbles, because everything is cooked in there. Now you can also, if your oven is slow, you can put it up to 400. Now comes the cleanup. Now that the cooking is halfway, we're going to add the mozzarella on top. Let's shredded mozzarella, and along with the parmigiano. Now it's going to melt. Now this pot here is a large pot. It's enough for 12 people, so it's been taking a little bit longer to cook. And the sauce wasn't very hot either, so it's been taking a little bit longer. You always have to adjust the cooking time. Plus my oven is very nice, but it's very slow, extremely slow. So now this gets covered, put back in the oven for another 15 minutes, and then it's lunchtime. The parmigiana is ready. Now all we have to do is cut it. Now you should let it sit for about 10 minutes or so to cool down, so it won't fall apart when you cut it. So just hold on. This is super yum. Oh, that's huge.